So, growing up, my mom was very supportive. She allowed me to try all different kinds of things to account basketball, Rubik's Cube, guitar, piano, singing, calligraphy, rock climbing, skateboard, biking, computer games, bowling, kickboxing, volleyball, Chinese chess, the board game Go, billiards, swimming, ice skating, spikeball, paintball, horse riding, gymnastics, parkour, skiing, snowboarding, skateboarding. For all my life, I've been earnestly trying new things. However, as I grew up, I learned that I need to narrow down the number of my hobbies because I knew it takes time to achieve mastery in a certain sport, and my time on this planet is only enough to achieve a few items. I had to be choosy and learn to allocate my time to a selected few. Let's say here's a list of 100 most popular sports in this world, and I will walk you through my thought process of selecting a sport to dedicate to. First, I eliminate all the non-confronting sports. That is the sports you can perfectly do on your own, like pistol shooting, swimming, weightlifting, diving, and running. These sports are just too boring for me. Second, I eliminate any singular motion sports, like golf, throwing darts, bowling, archery. For the same reason, they are too monotonous and boring. Third, I eliminate all the sports that have little contact time, that is touching the ball a very short percentage of the time you're on court. Baseball, football, cricket are such examples. I don't want to waste my time running around or sitting on the bench. I just prefer to actually do something actively at each minute. Fourth, I eliminate sports that don't have a big enough population base. Spikeball, paddle tennis are all great sports. However, too few people are playing it. Fifth, I eliminate sports that are highly likely to get hurt, such as basketball, American football, boxing. Sixth, I don't want the sports with no physical movement. Chess, video gaming, billiards are too static for me. I want to breathe and sweat. So to summarize, I want to do a sport that's combating, high level of variety, high frequency play, has a big enough player population, relatively safe, and has a certain level of physical movement. For all the sports that I've come across through my life, the following few sports fit my criteria. In chronological order of when I tried them for the first time are badminton, ping pong, tennis, and handball. Let me share you my thoughts on each sport and how they compare to each other. Badminton is the easiest of four to pick up. It's very beginner friendly, super easy to pick up, has a high level of variety. As you progress, there are many slides and trick shots for you to learn. You can also choose the power route to build your attributes on spikes, other explosive shots, and fast, powerful footwork. The downside of it is, it's not considered as a mainstream sport in the Western world. There is only one place in the entire New York City that has okay badminton courts. I had to travel an hour just to get there. Ping pong is probably the hardest sport in terms of skills. It requires a high level of sophistication in all kinds of crazy spins. The small ball and the small table requires high level of precision as well. And the sport itself demands low level of stamina. I could play 10 hours straight in a day. The downside of the sport is that it's generally considered a bar pastime and never being taken seriously in most of the places in the world except for China. Tennis' biggest upside is the implied status and the wealth behind it. It's generally considered as a rich people's sport. It's the most expensive sport out of the four, for the price of the courts and the constant requirements of new balls. The coaching fee is also the highest of the four. The downside of it is it has low level of variety and fewer possible shot placements available. Then the last one, handball. If just considering the sport itself and I have to pick a favorite one, I'll pick handball. It itself as a sport is way superior than all other sports. The most outstanding trait of this sport is its ambidextrous, which means it requires both hands to play instead of one-handed. It has spins, trick shots, has a wide range of playstyle to choose from soft to power. It has a very high level of variety, which allows me to take all kinds of different shots, as opposed to the monotonous shots of racket sports. On top of that, it has variations of four walls, which is a dope version of the game that involves dimensional geometry. You play with your hands, so you only need optional gloves, The balls last a long time, and it's easily accessible everywhere in New York City. Yes, it's literally the king of sports. However, the downside is how disgusting the people who play are. After all, it's a street sport. The majority of people who participate in this sport are people from the lowest tier in the society compared to other sports. Also, it's literally unknown besides a few states in the US. I had made another video on the sport in the past, so I won't repeat again here. You can go watch that video if you are interested. Here's how my sports timeline looks. For my teenage years, I've dedicated my sports time mostly to basketball. Then I played 3 seasons of tennis when I was in high school. Then I dedicated all my 4 years of college time into handball, either one wall or four wall, some ping pong, and tiny amount of badminton. This past summer, as I just graduated and started working 9 to 5, I stopped playing handball and threw myself fully into tennis. And I learned a very important lesson through this transition, which is what I wish you to take away today. Due to I finally had enough of the lowness of the people I play handball with, I decided to quit the sport. During the past 4 years, I did practice tennis sometimes against the wall by myself, but I never stepped onto a tennis court and played games whatsoever. This past summer, I gradually started coaching tennis. First, it was a post on the Facebook page. Some parents are looking for a coach for their kids, so I volunteered myself. Then, as I was coaching that kid, some other parent passed by and asked for my number. Then I went online and got myself a USPTA tennis coach certification and gained some confidence. Then I started approaching people on the tennis courts and introduced myself as a certified tennis coach. Then more students came to me through word of mouth. Then I started posting posters on the poles and the bins on the streets, close to the courts. Then I updated my coaching gears until it finally came to this day. 3 months later, I had 20 students and made over $5,000 during the past 3 months coaching part-time. So if you want to pick a hobby that's worth pursuing, my advice is, if possible, pick the hobbies that are profitable or at least self-sustainable. This is applicable to anyone who still works for money. So unless you are someone who doesn't need to worry about money anymore, then following this guiding advice may be very helpful to you. Using Robert Kiyosaki's words, these cash flow generating hobbies are called assets. Those hobbies that keep sucking in your money are called liabilities. You see, tennis as an asset sport allows me to make money from it. With money, I can buy myself time and gears, which in turn makes me even better at it, which makes me more qualified to coach, which allows me to charge more for my coaching. Hence goes into a positive loop. Until the end, I become mastered in the sport. I made money from it. I gained a lot of thankful students whom I provided value to. I met people who genuinely liked and willing to help me. Like I already had 2 students whose parents were willing to refer me to new job opportunities. Whereas a liability sport like handball, ping pong, and badminton are consuming a lot of my time without giving me back anything. That's why I don't encourage people to just follow your dreams, do whatever you love. That's only okay if you have endless money already. Otherwise, for the majority of us, we need to find ourselves a hobby that can provide value to others. A hobby that others are willing to pay for. A skill that is demanded by many people. A skill many people are willing to pay for. A skill many people are willing to pay a lot for. The more people who demand it, the more money people are willing to pay for your service, the better. Tennis, to my surprise, has a big market. A lot of adults and kids want to learn the sport, and people are willing to pay a high price for your coaching time. As opposed to handball, which all the players are poor and cheap and rude. There'll never be any coaching or transactions besides betting on the outcome of the game. For badminton and ping pong, too little people are interested in it, and even so, they're only willing to pay little for it. As of now, I have limited my hobbies to tennis and making YouTube videos. I am very willing to invest in gears for those 2 hobbies, like ball picking baskets and sports backpacks for tennis, or cameras and microphones and lenses for YouTube. Because YouTube videos have a big potential to allow me to make a no roof limit passive income in the long term. But that's another topic for another day. For today, just remember, pick the hobby that can make you money.